Well, welcome to our Sunday service, our Kriya Yoga Sunday service for October. Today, we're going to be continuing on what we've been discussing the previous 2 weeks, which started with David's talk. David talked about experiencing the real, and he discussed if we're ready to experience the real. And that's a pretty valid question because sometimes you say you want something, but then the more you get into it, the more you realize, wow, I didn't really want to go this direction anyway. I was just doing a podcast interview, which will come out in about a week or two, with Asha Nayaswamy, who is a student of Kriyananda. And she is a wonderful person. I had never met her before. I really enjoyed the interview. But during the talk, we moved into that territory of describing how I think she called it the icky middle of your spiritual path. And that's when you've been enthusiastic and you've wanted to learn to meditate and you've read autobiography of a yogi and you've been so inspired to wake up or to grow spiritually. And then you get to the icky middle, which is where you realize you've gone so far and there's no turning back, but you look back at all the stuff you've left behind and you think to yourself, oh, well, maybe I really still like that stuff, but you've already jumped in, the island's way over there, and you just got to keep swimming until you get to the end. So sometimes this happens that we begin something and we realize what it's going to take. And I think it's important to recognize that the spiritual path does take a lot. Uh, it's easy to say that it's easy, and it's easy to get caught up in a lot of inspiration and enthusiasm. But at the end of the day, it is like everything else in life. It takes work, it takes attention to detail, and it takes commitment. Um, but it is clearly the most rewarding thing that you can do. And that is there's a difference in mentality between people who are happy and successful and people who are just chasing fleeting joys. When we're just chasing things that are fleeting, we jump from one thing to another. We jump from one spiritual practice to another, or maybe we get involved with a spiritual teacher and they might even be a very good spiritual teacher, but because they're not validating how we think it should be, we jump to another spiritual teacher. We keep looking for that. And I think you might see this in people with relationships too. Those of you who you know that are in very good, meaningful relationships, there's a sense of the depth of that relationship, but there's also a sense of the work that goes into that relationship. And you see people who don't have very meaningful relationships, and as soon as things get difficult, or as soon as things start to change or shift, uh, the person doesn't want to be in the relationship anymore. So it's important to remember that you have decided that you want to experience what is real. You want to experience the reality of spirit. And that requires a lot of you. And you can't stay the same. You can't be the little person that you think you are and accomplish that. There's a lot of letting go, and there's a lot of positive transformation into states of being and fields of consciousness, which are unimaginable when you begin. And sometimes it's a struggle, but it's absolutely worth it. That's why we're here. It's the whole reason, not just you and me here in this Zoom talk. It's the whole reason that everyone is here on this planet, really. So, anyway, David talked about this idea of are we ready for what is real? And then I discussed some ways of preparing yourself to experience, to welcome what is real. And if you missed that discussion, it is on the Kriya Yoga Online YouTube channel under the live playlists. And today, what we're going to consider, just briefly, are specific practices that you can do that will help you in that process. Things that you can incorporate into your meditation routine that will make this more accessible to you. And if you stick with it, really enjoyable for you, because these practices, like all meditation practices, but these in particular, help you to become fully present. And both spirit, the real, the divine, it actually truly only exists in the present moment. And if you think to yourself, well, I'm present, I'm here, we'll really take a moment to wonder if you are. And the reason I think it's important to wonder about this is because in my own practice, I have thought those exact same things. And then the moment that I cross that threshold of actually stepping into the present moment, it can actually feel painful. I know that sounds weird, but it can actually feel painful because I was actually contemplating this morning in meditation before this talk. It's like you've been covered up with clothing. You've been wearing these same clothes for 50 years and you haven't taken them off. And they're dirty and they're stuck to your skin. And you're wanting to take them off and feel the air on your skin, or maybe go swim in a lake, or just feel the freshness of the moment. And if you've been covered up by these clothes that have been old and dirty and kind of stuck to you and stiff, well, when you take them off, your skin is going to be so sensitive and it's going to feel like, I want to go back into, those old stinky clothes again. And there are plenty of, allegories about this, people being stuck in a cave their whole life. Maybe it was Plato who did that one. And then they finally come out and they see the sun. And whereas before they were just seeing shadows on the wall from the sun, now they actually step out of the cave and it's so blinding. They've never seen it before. And a lot of people think that's too much. I'm just going to go back in the cave. But if they would be able to stay there, be present with that light, their eyes would adjust and they would see a whole world beyond shadow that they haven't really ever experienced before. And then that's when the sense of joy comes in. And I suppose there's another kind of icky middle. I think it's a funny phrase, another icky middle. And that's when you've been down in the cave and all you've seen is shadows and you've been wondering, what is this light? What is this world above that I've heard about? And then you finally break free of your chains and you crawl out of the cave and you see the light and it's so blinding you can't see anything else. And what most people do, what pretty much everyone does, is they say, no, that's too much. I'm going back in the cave. And they go back in the cave and they settle for the life of shadows on the wall. But there's that period of time where you can't see anything and you're very sensitive and your eyes are blinded by this light. And then eventually you can see a little bit. What is that? And you realize, well, there's a tree out there. You've never seen a tree before. And you feel the rain on your skin and you hear birds singing. And eventually as you adjust, and sometimes this takes a while, you step into a whole new reality. And then you hear people back in the cave saying, hey, why don't you come back in here? And you don't want to go back at all because you see the beauty of the potential experience, or their potential experience, your actual experience now. And they don't want to come out into the light, and you don't want to go back into the shadows anymore. And so there's a problem. Not really. I mean, everyone has their path that they need to be on, and people will stay in the shadows for as long as they need. But the other icky middle is really that shifting, that changing, that recognition that you're in a whole other world now, that you remember what it's like to be in the shadows, but you don't want to be there anymore. You really don't. And you do have compassion for the people who don't want to step into the light, but you have to make a choice. Do I want to squander away this time I have going back into the shadows just because of other people's comfort? Or do I want to explore this new life that's been provided for me? And so that other icky middle is that stage of struggle. But the thing is, after you've stepped into this space of light and this whole other world, you actually start meeting other people who've been there for a while, and you make new friends and you have new relationships and you exist in a whole other experience, really. Um, and this is something that's not talked about a whole lot, within our spiritual path, but it is a reality. It's something that we have to go through, and the duration of the readjustment of our eyes, and the duration of how long can we endure this loneliness as we let go of the past world of shadows. We have to grieve that too, because that is a letting go. And it's okay to grieve the letting go, but you don't want to just reindulge yourself with it, right? This is where spiritual strength comes in. Yes, the things you have to let go of, the world of shadows that you've experienced previously, and that maybe many of your friends or family are still engaged in, you might have to grieve the fact that you want to be in the light now. But after you grieve, then there is this openness, there is this freshness, there is the reality of spirit. And that's when you recognize there's no going back. This is another theme that I discussed with Asha in the podcast, that there's no going back. Once you have walked out into that light, once you have tasted the experience, um, the world of shadow isn't anything to you anymore. And in order to do this, again, we have to continue our spiritual practice as we know it, as we've been taught, our Kriya pranayama, our chanting through the chakras, Soham mantra, our study of sacred scripture, our spending time with uh, enlightened people, or people who are enlightened in the matter of spiritual things. Those are the practices that are breaking the chains so that you can get out of the cave and go step into the light. There comes a point in your practice where the practices have worked, where the chains of your karma have been broken. And now you're standing in the cave and you see that you can walk up, or you can just sit there without your chains on. And when the chains have been broken by your spiritual practices, then you have to start walking up towards the light. And you will recognize this when it happens, because in your meditation, there begins to be a sense of freedom, a sense of choice, a sense of, I'm not doing this anymore because I'm in pain, or I'm uncomfortable. There's a sense of, I'm actually free now. Like, I don't feel that on my wrists. I don't feel the weight of these shackles. And you have to start exploring, well, what is it like to step into this present moment? What is it like to walk up through the cave to into the light, to follow that experience of light? And by light, oftentimes we think spiritually that we're going to see a blazing light, like, and you will. I mean, that is part of certain spiritual techniques. You do see an inner light, but spiritually, light is awareness. All these Vedic mantras and references to light, it's awareness that they're talking about, really. And once you become more aware of your freedom and you can walk towards that, then you have to start becoming comfortable in the present moment. And so, what we're going to go over today, this is going to be more of a combination of a practice session uh, incorporated with a meditation. We're not just going to do a straight up meditation during the second half of this section like we normally do. Um, this is a practice that I've been doing for a while, and I introduced it to the students of the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship program in the retreat, this last September retreat that we did. And I feel it's a very important practice. So let's just talk about it for a moment. So essentially, what we're learning to do is to feel the field of our consciousness, our chitta, who we think we are, in the present moment on three different levels. The first level is a physical level. The second level is an energetic, emotional level. And the third level is a mental level. And this is not something that you might get right away. You might have to pay attention and practice each one individually, because you have to feel your way into it. And if you're not used to feeling your way into an experience, then you're going to be just kind of clumsy at it at first. Some of you might do very well. But I want to encourage you that this is a longer process than just maybe the time we have today. And when you begin the first stage, all you're doing is feeling your body, meaning you are acknowledging the information that your body is sharing with you. And you're not being concerned about if your body feels good, bad, neutral. It's just a looking, it's just a checking in. You can think of it if you're a scientist and you're looking through a microscope and you've got these slides on the microscope. Well, you don't care what's on the slides. You don't care if it's bacteria. You don't care if it's sugar. You're just, well, what's there? And you're not emotionally caught up in what's there. So the first step that we'll go through when we practice together is to feel into the body and explore the body and sense the body, the physical nature. And it's about awareness, bringing the light of present moment awareness to the experience. And if your finger hurts, doesn't matter. You just acknowledge, great, that's what I feel. If you feel a lightness in your chest, you just feel it. You'll see as we go. The next phase is feeling the energy of the body. And believe me, I'm a very skeptical person. And I know sometimes when people say, feel the energy, like, okay, yeah, right, whatever, or is this, that, and the other, which is funny because I've been a craniosacral therapist and a Reiki practitioner and all kinds of energetic stuff, but I'm still skeptical of all that. And so here's what we have to do with the energy aspect. You can look at it a few different ways. Number one, just simply acknowledge the fact that you are already feeling energy. When I touch my thumb, I could not feel the pressure of this touch if there wasn't energy flowing through the nerves into my nervous system. So you might say that's just a tactile pressure, but you wouldn't be able to sense it if there wasn't energy there. So you are already able to sense energy. So you can look at it at that level. But what I recognize with this is it's more about sensing two things: the temperature of the body. For example, we're not starting yet, but just where you are right now, just immediately, what is the first thing you notice when I say, what is the temperature of your body? Do you notice areas that are colder? Do you notice areas that are warmer? Like, usually under your armpits is usually warmer for obvious reasons. Where your clothes are, you feel more warmth. I'm currently wearing shorts, and so my legs and my feet are colder. And so you can begin to enter into this sense of feeling through temperature sensitivity. And then the next step, which I'll leave it up to you whether you want to move into this with this phase or not, is to acknowledge your emotional energy. That's part of the energy field, the emotional energy. And most people carry a certain flavor of energy with them. Some people always feel just like they're anxious. It's just an undercurrent of anxiety. Well, that's an energy, and that's what I want you to pay attention to. Some people always feel joyous and like everything is wonderful and grace is here all the time. And there's just this flow through the body and this lightness. Well, that's a type of happiness and that's a type of energy. Some people will feel kind of like, they got that look on their face. They just kind of have this sense of doubt, this heaviness, this kind of like dragging feeling. And we all have different combinations of these things. And you might have noticed that when you meet someone new, your body responds. You meet someone new and you might feel like, wow, I love this person. I think we're going to be friends. That's an energy sensation. Or you might meet someone and say, I don't know, like immediately you get a little tighter inside. Well, that's a recognition of this energy that I'm talking about. So anyway, when we move into that, that's what we're looking for. We're just bringing light and awareness to the space through and around our body, and use your imagination. There's nothing wrong with that. We have an imagination for a reason. To sense, what is this quality? And we'll do that for a little bit. And then the final phase is exploring the mental field. And that might not be the best word for it, but it's the best I've got. And that is the field of your thoughts. And that's when we'll start to kind of really key in and look at, okay, what's this thought that's coming through my mind? What's this memory? And when we feel that, we're going to sense as if there's not in our mind, we're going to imagine that we can feel almost like a space around our body, usually the upper body, but around our body, as though there's a spaciousness around there. And it's as if we're noticing, oh, that thought's over here, or that thought's coming from this direction. And this is bringing more awareness to that mental field. Those of you who logged in a little earlier, I was playing a kirtan from one of the Kriya Yoga apprenticeship retreats, and I think the last one that was played was the Gayatri mantra, which is a mantra for the sun, which is a mantra about awareness. And the mantra begins Om Bhur Bhuva Svaha, and it's acknowledging these three worlds of earth, of atmosphere, and of the heavens. And so when you chant that mantra, you are subconsciously illuminating these three spaces. That's why that mantra is so powerful, because when those three spaces become illuminated, then we see the world in light. And that's wonderful to chant that mantra. It's one of my absolute favorite mantras. It's one of the most sacred mantras that exist. But you can quicken that experience by actually enlightening, illuminating your own three worlds, which is the world of the body, the world of the energy, and the world of this uh, more causal realm of thought. I need to work out a better way to describe that, but you get the idea. And so this is what we're going to do today. Um, and I don't know where each of you are in regards to your own path. Many of you I do know because you've gone through the apprenticeship program or are currently in it. And many of you are just good friends, members of the Kriya Yoga Alliance, and so on. But with this practice, this is something that you incorporate into your existing practice. This is something that you do. You might need to experiment when it works best for you to do it. And so, for example, I'm assuming we're all Kriya yogis here. And so we've got the Kriya yoga practices of life force arousal, Kriya pranayama, and Jyoti mudra, those standard practices or slight variations. Well, maybe for you, you need to set aside an extra 15 minutes to do this before the practice. And what you might find is by doing this before the practice, your practice becomes more engaging because you have illuminated these fields of your being, which means when you feel the current moving through the spine or when you chant through the chakras, now you really feel it. And you're much more aware and in tune with that experience. So this is an awareness and illuminating practice. Or you might find that you do better going through your normal routine and then doing it at the end. It might be just kind of like, icing on the cake. But you want to do it either before or after. And this is an additional practice. So I'd encourage you to do it. I'd encourage you to really find a period of time where you could commit to doing it for at least 21 days every single day. In mantra practices, we have these mantra sadhanas where we'll do a mantra for 40 days in addition to our normal practice, because that helps to engage the energy of that mantra within our life. Well, from time to time as yogis, we need to stretch ourselves a little bit. It's like when you go to the gym every day, eventually you've got to do something a little bit different. And so this is your way of saying, okay, I'm stable in my spiritual practice. Well, let's expand into it a little bit. Let's feel a little more deeply into it. And that's what this is about. This will help in that regard. And then what you will find is if you really, truly, with awareness and dynamism, meaning you're not doing it mechanically, you're really feeling this stuff, you're really giving attention to it, you will hit those moments, if you haven't already, where you recognize I am in the present moment. And you'll come to that experience of the little bit of uncomfortableness of kind of being blinded by it a little bit or feeling a little bit too sensitive. And you'll say, oh, that's what Ryan was talking about. And that's in a way that is a sign that you have succeeded in your tapas. Remember Kriya Yoga, um, tapas, svadhyaya, and ishvara pranidhana. Tapas is the practice. Svadhyaya is the study. Ishvara pranidhana is surrender to the divine. Well, tapas is said to be fire, and tapas is the friction, the spiritual friction, which ignites the awareness, the illumination. And if you've ever tried to actually light a fire with like sticks or flints or something, not just a match, you got to work at it. But then all of a sudden, it ignites. And so when you have that moment of, ooh, what is this? This is a new thing, and there's a sensitivity to it, and it's beautiful, really. Well, then you know that the flame has happened. You have rubbed the sticks together long enough that, wow, there's the present moment. And here's the thing: it's just like starting any other kind of fire. If you do it, and you have something igniting, you don't just stand there and say, well, that was great, and then it goes out. I mean, you might do that, and that's what many of us do with our spiritual practice. But if you're trying to start a fire with friction, you have to be ready to put more stuff on it to help it grow, and to help it grow into a long, steady fire. And so you have to learn to grow into that illumination, to maintain that illumination, that experience. But anyway, that's what we're going to explore during the remainder of our time. I am recording this, so if your notes aren't good enough and you need a copy, you can email us info@kriyayogaonline.com, and we'll get you a copy. So let's go ahead and get started. And before I forget, as always, we have the Kriya Yoga Q&A after this, starting in about a half an hour. And that's for Kriya Yoga apprenticeship students and Kriya Yoga Online ashram students. But I'm sure they won't mind if you want to stick around. And if you have any questions you want to ask, you're welcome to do that. But it's supported by our Patreon community and our Kriya Yoga Online ashram. All right. So sitting up straight, closing your eyes. Take as many nice, full, deep breaths as you want, such that you feel your body. Really feel the belly, feel the chest moving, feel the back as though you're moving your prana into your body, and you're feeling who and what you are right now. And notice after a few of those breaths that maybe you feel a little tingling in your hands, or a little warmth within your legs. Just give yourself permission to inhabit your physical experience. And as always, I like to begin our practice honoring and acknowledging those teachers, those representatives that have been a part of this whole process for me and for you. Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar, Paramahansa Yogananda, Roy Eugene Davis, and their successors. Their teaching, their example, their life personally has given me everything, answered every question I've had. And so I have a profound sense of gratitude and love for them. Now, let's begin this simple practice. We'll begin with the physical body. So, all you have to do is just allow your attention to return to your body and notice the first sensations that you're aware of. Maybe it's the feeling of your toes or the pressure on your meditation seat, just for you. What is the immediate feeling that you are aware of in the body? And then feel the breath and let the breath be a little deeper, just so that you actually feel it as you inhale into the belly and up into the chest. And it's as if you're becoming aware of the fact that the breath, the prana, is massaging, moving, pushing around lymph, blood, the nerves, awakening the sensitivity of the nervous system. And on each exhale, you can feel the weight of the body, the gravity of the body pulling you downward. And it's as if you can feel the body pulsing, sensitive, sensitized. And as you inhale, you feel the chest rising, the belly expanding. You feel the pressure. And this is as though the body is becoming pressurized, full and strong and upright. And then the exhale, relaxation. There's the warmth in the palms and the warmth in the soles of the feet. And then feel a little deeper into the body. Feel into areas that you weren't feeling before. So scan your back, the backs of your arms, the backs of your knees. Really just feel into those areas that were not so obvious. Under your jaw. See if you can feel the sinuses on the inhale and the exhale, the movement of air, the atmosphere is physical. And then just simply relax into whatever sensations arise. They come and they go. as you observe this body, which is an expression of Divine Mother, nature, you are looking at feeling the present moment state of the Divine Mother as your body right now. You are the light of spirit illuminating the heaviness, the coolness, the breeze, the feeling of the clothing against your skin. Honor this moment and this expression of nature. Before we move on to the next stage, let's do one more quick scan. Notice your eyes, the feeling of your eyes. Notice the feeling of your tongue and your throat, and where your throat connects to your torso and your shoulders. Notice the physical sensation of your heart, particularly the back of the heart chakra in between the shoulder blades, feeling the clothing or the chair against your back, or the breath moving through the lungs and expanding the ribs. Flow your awareness down into the belly, feeling the jolliness of your belly if you have a big belly, or feeling the warmth, the movement of your last meal if you can sense that. And flow your awareness down into your pelvic bones, your hips, feeling also the weight of your body against your meditation seat and the heat in the groin, the temperature, the pressure. Become aware of the temperature within the palms of the hands and the fingers, and the temperature in the soles of the feet and the toes. Once again, honoring this body, this temple, this fullness of Divine Mother manifested for you to experience life. And releasing the fixation on the physical body, as if relaxing deeper into the experience. Acknowledge or imagine the field of energy within the body. And the best way to begin sensing that is just to feel and sense the patterns of warmth and coolness that you're aware of within the boundaries of the body. Whereas the body was dense, this is soft, fluid. To me, it feels like a little fuzzy feeling through the body, like static electricity, or running your hand over soft cashmere wool. And then, if you can, imagine that you can feel that field a couple inches around your body. And if you're a skeptical person like me, just use your imagination to give you the chance, the opportunity to sense it, if it is there. You can feel the temperature around the head and the ears, in the back of the neck, around the body. You can feel the warmth or coolness around the shoulders and the arms, in front of the chest and behind you in the back. With each breath, there's a relaxation, a softening, a sensitivity growing. You can feel in front of the belly, around the hips, the knees, the feet. And paying special attention to those areas of warmth in the palms, under the arms, the groin area, behind the knees. Sensing the coolness around the face and the flow of energy into the nostrils and back out. And then expand your sensitivity into your your feelings, the general quality of feeling. Is there frustration? Is there depression? Is there joy, lightness? You're just looking, there's no good or bad. The feelings within your field are there for a very good reason. And we're just honoring them, feeling them, giving them space. And there's no fighting the feelings. It's as if you are allowing them, welcoming them, becoming receptive, and noticing, if you can, are these feelings in any particular area of the body? Do you notice them on the right side of your shoulder, or in the left side of your knee, or in your eyes? Let them flow with the breath, honoring the energy body of Divine Mother. She is energy, awareness, reflected light. She is the joy and the sorrow of your life. This is the body of nature, which gives meaning to your experience, gives meaning to your existence. And once again, before moving on to the next phase, we'll just do a scan. So give yourself permission to feel, imagine the energy, the space around your eyes, your ears, the top of your head, within your skull, sixth chakra region, and flowing down to sense the jaw, the neck, the throat, the tops of the shoulders, under the arms, the shoulder blades, flowing down, feeling the field around and within the body, in front of the heart, down through the arms into the palms, flowing down into the belly and the lower back, in the hips, sacrum, the groin, your meditation seat, down into the knees, flowing down into the ankles and the feet and the toes. And you can notice the full field of the body now, feeling from head to toe, from one palm to the other palm, front to back. Acknowledging this field of prana, the energetic body of Divine Mother. And releasing our attention, expanding a little bit further beyond the body, acknowledging the mental field, the mind, as though it is an openness, a spaciousness, like a blue sky with clouds floating through it. And you're becoming aware of any thoughts. There might not be any at this point. But any thoughts, memories, images that seem to pop in and go out, you're feeling this open, spacious, soft, spherical field all around you. Just watching for the clouds of thoughts to come and go. And steady the breath and deepen the breath comfortably so that there is this flow of breath, a fullness on the inhale. You feel the mental field full, illuminated. And on the exhale, there's a softness, a spaciousness. We flow between these two polarities as we watch the clouds of thought rise and fall, or we simply observe the blue, clear sky of the mental field. This is the body of space, the infinite field of the Divine Mother. And the thoughts are just ripples, comings and goings of clouds, and light and shadow. This is your divine body. That holds all the potential for your energetic and physical life. We'll go just a little longer. And again, following the breath. If you can imagine and feel all of this space around you like a infinite blue sky. On the inhale, this field of space and thought and ether becomes weightless, strong, full, clear. And on the exhale, there is a relaxation, a softness, a sensitivity to the subtle light of the divine, which is felt as the present moment. A beingness beyond time and space. A pure illumination and simple knowing of existence. And the breath can become subtle, soft, small, letting the body breathe without effort or any kind of force. And recognizing the body is breathing of its own. These sensations are happening of their own accord. And that you are the seer, the witness, the presence, which illuminates this whole experience. Feel the body, feel the breath integrated, the energy integrated with the physical body. Feel the space of the mind integrated with the energy and the weight and structure of the body. We'll chant Om 3 times to conclude. Peace. All right. Well, thank you all for being here again today. It's wonderful to see you and be with you. We'll have our next 9 a.m. Sunday service. We just double check the date. You can always go to KriyaYogaAlliance.com, which is what I'm doing, KriyaYogaAlliance.com. And the next 9 a.m. will be on November 16th. Next week, we have Ray Booker speaking at 11 a.m. on October 26th. So not to be missed there. It was wonderful to be with you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Peace.